All right, what's up, my brother? So in this video, I want to deal with a request I got from a gentleman who wants me to delve into the topic of the best careers for men to get into in the next 5 to 10 years. If you're new to the channel, I'm Rich Cooper, entrepreneur, private equity investor. I've done a few things in my life. I'm a seasoned gentleman, so I have some experience in this area. And there's really 6 things that you can do to create great wealth and freedom and prosperity for yourselves as a guy, because that's always what they're looking for is, how do I go out there and put my little dent in the universe? And it doesn't matter if you're 22, 32, or 42. I'll give you some answers to that question right now. So the first 5, and I'll leave the 6 till the very end, which happens to be my favorite. The first is STEM. The second one is licensed professionals. The third one is high-ticket sales reps. The fourth is C-suite jobs. And the fifth is what I call audience commander. Let me explain those all very briefly. STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths. You can make quite a bit of money in this field. There's lots of room for growth. AI is probably the area that I would recommend looking at today. I've dealt with a lot of guys in my private coaching business that make $7, $8, $900,000 working for these tech companies like Facebook and Amazon and Netflix and stuff like that. So depending on what you do, whether it's building rockets for Elon Musk or designing the next thing that gets him to Mars or getting into AI, the STEM fields are always good. They're filled with some slightly awkward guys, but as long as they get their heads squared away, they can do quite well and make quite a bit of money. So the number 2 is licensed professionals, and we're talking about guys that are doctors, lawyers, surgeons, accountants, licensed finance professionals, anybody that went to school for a number of years for a particular designation, which usually comes with a governing body that allows them to practice in a certain field as an expert. If you're going to be doing brain surgery, if you're going to be practicing law, if you're going to be dealing with work as an accountant, these are all good fields to be in. They'll always exist. Some say that some things like lawyers will start to diminish over time because of blockchain and smart contracts. We haven't seen that happen quite yet. Maybe some sort of a blend between STEM and blockchain type of technology with legal infused in it might be an opportunity for you to look at, but you get the idea. The third thing was high ticket sales. Well, what does that mean? Well, sales is always a percentage of what you sell. When I was a kid in high school, I worked in a stereo store. I made a few $100s a month because they paid you a small commission based on the sales of TVs and DVD players and stuff like that. Well, rather than doing that, get into selling mansions, yachts, jets, anything that's expensive, very, very expensive cars, luxury goods, hypercars, stuff like that. You can make quite a bit of money. There's some downside to it because you're often called upon to work all hours of the week. It's not that uncommon for somebody wanting to see a house at 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening, and you'll have to go out there and book it and show it to them. But high ticket sales can make you quite a bit of money, and I think that'll always exist well into the next 5 or 10 years. The fourth one is C-suite jobs. These are quite rare. They're hard to come by. We're talking about CFO, CTO, CEO, anything that's chief something officer will pay you quite well and give you quite a bit of control and freedom. In fact, some of the compensation packages I've seen for some of the guys that run 8, 9-figure type of businesses are very, very lucrative. The problem is it's kind of one of those jobs where it's like luck, preparation, and opportunity all meet in the ideal conditions, and you're a great networker. One of the other unique characteristics and traits I've noticed about guys in the C-suite roles that I've worked with in the past is they tend to be somewhere like in the manic scale. Some of them are even bipolar, to some degree. It's often called the CEO's disease. But if you have the experience, you have the good network, and you know how to command people, you know how to hire the right people, you know how to get out of the way when you hire the right people, this is one of the things that takes quite a few decades to master. So getting into a field that you're interested in and climbing that ladder, you might have to move around from corporation to corporation, but C-suite jobs are always well compensated. The fifth one, and sit tight for the 6th because this is the most important one, the 6th one. The 5th one is what I call audience commanders. These are people that basically command a large audience of people. The next movie that comes out with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it, they know will be a blockbuster seller. He'll make a lot of money. Tom Cruise, musicians, artists, even sports athletes. There's men out there that will go and buy jerseys with another man's name on it and wear it on the back. They'll even buy one for their wife. They'll make their wife or their girlfriend wear a jersey with another man's name on it. This is the influence and pull that these characters have. So if you're a world-class professional as a musician, an actor, an athlete, even an influencer online, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you can make quite a bit of money and have quite a bit of influence. When you command the attention of people, you will be considered valuable, and I don't think that's going to change because the gatekeepers have been removed, right? Like you needed somebody's permission to publish a book in the past, you needed somebody's permission to create a show or a podcast in the past. Those things have all been completely removed. The gatekeepers are gone. You can go out there and do this today with something something as simple as a cell phone. So that's another opportunity for you to make quite a bit of money in the next 5 to 10 years. All right, so let's get on to the 6th, which happens to be my favorite, and that is entrepreneurship. Now, entrepreneurship has a big, bright future, and I'm going to tell you something about entrepreneurship. It's the only area right now that I'm aware of that allows you to operate with complete flexibility and freedom, not pandering to agendas. Let me explain. So one of the reasons why entrepreneurship happens to be my favorite today, not just because I am an entrepreneur, I mean, I've also been a corporate guy. I've worked in large corporations that are worth 9 and 10 figures. I've run teams of hundreds, up to hundreds of people over specific periods of time, hired and fired a lot of people. I'm very familiar with the corporate world, but entrepreneurship to me ticks off one very, very important box that all of these fail to tick off, and that's not pandering to the woke agenda. There's a lot of guys over the last few years that have reached out and contacted me and said, look, my employer wants me to take this experimental jab and I'm not sure about it, or they're threatening to fire me. Do you remember that? Well, I never once during that time had anybody try to cram that down my throat and force me to go do something that I didn't want to do. You don't also have to follow things like the rainbow months or the pronoun crowd or the alphabet crowd. You don't have to do any of those things when you're employed as an entrepreneur. The other thing too is if you structure the business correctly, you have the ability to maneuver. You can run the business from anywhere in the world. I can legitimately pick up 2 of my businesses right now and go and run them from a sailboat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean while I'm crossing the sea with a Starlink. That is the power of entrepreneurship if you set up the business correctly. So again, the ability to maneuver, being flexible, being able to, in a sense, write your own paycheck as an entrepreneur is incredibly useful. Now, the next thing people always say is, well, how do you do that? I don't know how to do that. What kind of business is good to start up? What kind of businesses should I get into? Well, I have 8 hours of course material available in the School of Entrepreneurship. It is available for sale on November 1st. For about 5 days, the enrollment period will be open and then it will close. If you're interested in learning more about how to become an entrepreneur, what the best kinds of business to structure are, the worst ones to stay away from, how to deal with things like government, insurance, payroll, hiring, marketing, retention, all that sort of stuff. I've been doing this for well over a decade and a half now, and I've worked with some weapons out there. I've worked with some wonderful entrepreneurs and been in quite a few interesting business forums and learned a lot of these best practices. So I've compiled all this information and summarized it for you in this course. Again, I call it the School of Entrepreneurship. It is wonderful and very, very useful. I invite you to check the link out below in the description and the top pinned comment if you're interested. If you are, hop in and do it now. You will spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars for what is arguably mostly a useless business degree that you're going to get from a college or university. Again, all while they try to shove pronouns down your throat, rainbows and all this sort of nonsense. You can avoid all of that. I think it's incredibly important if you're serious, like this gentleman is asking me, what the best types of work to get are in the next 5 to 10 years, is to take a serious look of taking control of the reins and building something for yourself where you can essentially write your own paycheck, work with who you want to work with or don't want to work with, put you in a position where you have FU money, where you can say no to people. There's 3 really, really important things. Grab a pen and take notes of this thing. Where you're really good at doing something, you really enjoy doing it, and it makes you a lot of money. When those 3 things intersect, you've got generally a very good business or a very good business idea that you want to pursue or take a closer look at. If you're missing one of those things, let's say you're missing it makes a lot of money, then what you end up with is essentially a hobby. I see a lot of people out there that set up these terrible businesses where they only make like $80, $90, $100,000 a year, and it's not really something that allows them the flexibility, the ability to maneuver the things that they want to do, because it's more or less just a hobby. Maybe they're great at it, maybe they love doing it, but it doesn't pay a lot of money. Those things are really hobbies, which is fine if you've gone and you've had a 7 or 8 figure exit and you've retired and you decide to go do something really that you like prune and cultivate bonsai trees. I get it. But you have to be very, very pragmatic and intentional when it comes about approaching entrepreneurship and setting up a good business that's profitable at works. Take a look at the link below. Again, the School of Entrepreneurship opens November 1st. It closes in about 5 days' time. So get in before the enrollment period closes. If you're on my email list, you'll already have gotten notification about the information that's in the course, some of the testimonials and all that wonderful stuff. So have a look at the link below and get started there. Have an amazing day. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.